Desk crew back in action. We got Brent reinforcing Zoe once again. We got a whole bunch of awesome signs behind us, and it's going to be a great day. How you guys feeling?
Feeling great.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm on the desk with Bren, so this can just be a crazy week overall.
Is that what you think when I'm on the desk of you? Just
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't know what to
all
expect.
across the board.
I never know where the show's going to go when Brent's here either, but I do know we're going to talk about standings. That's where we start every show, and to catch you up with where we're at, it is day 2, week 4 of stage 2. Our teams, they played about 17 matches, and throughout these 17, you can see it's New York at the top. We got Seoul behind them at number 2, though. A very close match between these two squads earlier in the week.
Oh, yeah. I think, honestly, probably the match of the season so far. Definitely a potential game to see in the Stage 2 playoffs.
And now that we look at Stage 2, remember, at the end of next week, we have our Stage 2 playoffs, 125 grand up for grabs in the performance bonus. Who are your 3 teams to make it in? And if you had to choose today, Johnny?
Well, you have to go with London, Seoul, and New York, right? But Los Angeles Gladiators, they could do it. They are the contenders. They beat London already last week, so maybe. Who knows?
Valiant's right behind them as well. As we take a look at the schedule, both of our LA teams have a lot to prove, and I'm really looking forward to this 8 p.m. matchup. Houston versus the Gladiators, and of course, a resurging Florida Mayhem going up against the Valiant at 6. For now, though, it's time to start things off with Shanghai versus New York XL. And as we looked at the leaderboard, you saw it's New York at the very top, Shanghai, unfortunately, at the very bottom. So let's start here with the Dragons. Brendan, we saw them play earlier in the week. What have we seen from the Dragons recently?
Yeah, in general, it's been a little bit struggling, to be honest. They've had a stroke of bad luck with Dia going missing in China itself, so they've had to experiment a little bit with the roster.
That would happen to him.
He went missing.
He actually just went to visit his
we know
family. I'm pretty sure
that's
he
the
just
actual
went back.
reasoning. I'm just making stuff up. But it has forced them to experiment a little bit, which is always nice to see. So they've been pushed out of their comfort zones a little bit, having to play a lot more tank-based compositions, been using some unique strategies.
Well, that's what happens, right? If you lose a DPS player and you're forced to play with 2 off-tanks on main tank, well, it just makes sense to play triple tank.
Exactly.
It is a composition that could work out well for them. We saw New York yesterday struggle, of course, on Hollywood and Nepal when Seoul Dynasty brought out the tank composition. So maybe Shanghai Dragons can, make some difference when it comes to the map. Differences, of course, in the standings. It's very important to get those map wins in.
We saw them take a game off of Seoul, right? So they've impressed us in the past. How do you get it against New York today? Is it the tank compositions you want to see?
Yeah, well, if you're playing, for example, a Roadhog, you can be sure to give Saibiobi a really hard time. So I think that the Roadhog and the D.Va, you could limit New York's potential to actually do what they want, and it's a bit tougher to beat down. So maybe a map or 2, I could see them definitely D.
All right, let's take it over to the New York side of things. This squad has been at the top, and as you mentioned, arguably the best game of the season already when we saw New York going up against Seoul earlier in the week. This was a battle between number 1 and number 2. What have we learned so far from the Excelsior?
I mean, in general, this is a squad that has an incredible amount of talent, I think, across the board. Nobody's going to be arguing that. That's not exactly a controversial statement, is it, at the end of the day? And they have been playing at a level that we knew that this team potentially could. Now, I've always been of the opinion, though, that the best teams in the league is going to be around Seoul and London, and New York are just sort of skirting behind them. But they've been making a case currently to be the number 1 seed throughout the entire season, just from how they're playing and how well they're adapting to different teams.
So we haven't seen one of the stars from New York in a while. Who's been missing from action?
Well, I think the one face everyone has not been seeing on stage for a while is Endboss Pine. Where he's at?
We have any
don't know.
Pine fans here?
I don't know. So Pine, the last time we actually got to see him was in week 1 of stage 2. So that's been quite a while. And in his stead, we've seen a lot of Libero. Granted, Libero, an absolute high caliber player who's been doing a lot for this team. But Pine being missing, of course, I had to go and talk to their team about it. And I just have to read out the quote I got from the coaches from NYXL. They wrote, "Pine has struggled to maintain good conditioning for matches. I hope he gets better soon." I'm honestly not entirely sure what that means. I'm not sure if that means, is he ill?
Okay,
He's a treadmill. He's
we don't-
conditioning
So
himself.
I saw Big Boss Pine in the corridors and the hallways when
Does
we
he
walked
look-
past.
Corridors,
I was getting a coffee and I just didn't know what to say. I just screamed at him, "Big Boss Pine!" and he was like, he's like, "Stay away from me, you crazy man."
Did he look ready to play?
He
Do you
looked
think we'll
ready.
see him today?
He looked prepped. He looked ready. I feel like there's a potential here. I mean, this is what New York like to do. I feel like Pine is the rookie crusher of
The
New
rookie
York
crush.
excels. He like crushes the teams that they maybe don't put as much preparation into, and they bring him out for those scenarios today. So I'm looking forward to see if they are going to start running him today.
Some soul-crushing McCree. Will it be in play today? We're going to find out in just a moment. Are you guys ready to get this match started? It's Shanghai and New York, and it kicks off right now.
What an angle from Undead. That is exactly what the Dragons needed. Pine is relentless. The Pine show now. See how vigilant the NYXL are.
Let's hear it for our first squad. Make some noise for the Shanghai Dragons. Altering coming out with a smile today as the Dragons mount the stage. The squad is coming in with an 0-17 overall record, and they haven't found a win yet in stage 2. But they're looking to shake things up with this squad, trying to make some moves to improve the lineup.
Yeah, they made a lot of changes. One of the biggest one has been them letting go of their main coach, U4. However, last week, the Shanghai Dragons we saw was still being coached by U4 as he was giving over the responsibilities to the second in command, which is Kong. So now for this week, Kong is taking over completely for all strats and all tactical insight. So let's see what he's going to do with it. They are limited to their current roster and the hero pool, so they won't make too many changes, he told me, besides some rotation and specific roles.
Johnny, how does this affect the team?
I don't think it affects the team too much now anyway, because they're playing the triple tank composition so much. And when Dia returns maybe and the new subs come in for stage 3, obviously, then we'll see some changes happening in the lineup. But for now, not so much.
You'll notice no Dia once again for the Shanghai Dragons. That is a look at their starting 6 for the day, and it's time to find out who will they be playing against on the other side of the stage. Let's hear for our second squad. It's the New York XL. The #1 team in the league. And it was so fun to watch these guys celebrate when they were able to take down Seoul in that Game 5, playing with pure joy. Today, will they show us any new looks?
Well, I don't think they have to show us any new looks because they're so consistent and so good at what they do, right? Obviously, Saibulbi, came out clutch yesterday, carried pretty much on map 4 and map 5, of course, giving them the win. So very impressive stuff. I just want to see Saibulbi crush on more Tracers.
Yeah, when I got to pick the players' brains about this matchup, about their opponent, they told me that they considered the lack of flexibility one of the Dragons' biggest weakness. And they told me also that they're looking to exploit that today. So
I will
More
say
Dragons.
this much,
More
Zoe. I
Dragons.
will say this much, right? There's potential here. Now, call me crazy. Call me whatever you want, because I'm used to it. Again, I get berated on Twitter
I
all the
call
time.
many
But
things,
listen,
Brian, don't worry.
listen to this, right? So hear me out, hear me out. New York, they've been prepping for Seoul, the game the other day. They've been prepping for one of the strongest teams in the league. If they've left no room for preparation today for Shanghai Dragons, there's potential for a bit of upset here.
there's always...
Are you saying they'll
There
win?
is
Yeah.
potential. Well, Shanghai, they started at the bottom. Will they still be there at the end of the day? We're about to find out as we kick off our match. Let's send it backstage to Semler and Hex.
Thank you so much, Pocket, and thank you to the desk. I'm astounded that nobody picks up on the fact that New York, they're so on point, they're so cutting edge that they're actually using hand warmers, not for their hands, but to heat up their headsets.
There's technically ear warmers at that point.
I mean, I'm
Different
looking
company.
forward to them just putting the, just putting the headset on and having a little warmer, like right there.
They're so good they don't even need to hear the game sounds or hear each other. I mean, Bren, aka the Corridor Creeper, we just found out. I didn't think that New York was a top team, said that Seoul and London are a little ahead of them. Me and Bren are going to have some words because the numbers don't lie. New York's been the best team in the league for quite a while.
Listen, if Bren was jumping out of some weird hallway, like I'm walking there minding my business, and then I've got Bren jumping out of the corner shouting something in my face, I'd be shocked too. I'm not surprised that Pine, he was a little caught off guard.
Yeah, Pine was ready to play, and now he's in trauma care because Bren jumped out and scared him out of a corner. So I think it's Bren's fault if you don't see Pine play today. Look, this is the best team in the league by rankings. #1, best record overall versus #12. That's the bottom line to it. So I don't know how much we're going to learn about New York today, but I think we have a chance to learn a lot about Shanghai today.
Indeed. How do they deal with fighting a beast that is New York? One thing that I do want to emphasize, though, and yes, they were talking a little bit about that on the desk. Oh, this could be a chance to see Pine. I'm seeing it the opposite way. I think this is a chance for New York to extend their lead, to get that 4-0, really ram it home, and extend that lead in terms of maps, because we saw how close it was when it came to the playoffs at the end of Stage 1. Every map mattered. I don't think that New York should be underestimating Shanghai. I think they need to go in here all guns blazing and secure that lead.
I would tend to agree. They're already at plus 37 on the map differential, and they just want to pile on, want to make sure that they get that #1 seed going into Stage 2 playoffs here. Shanghai, there's a lot that we need to just look for today as far as just looking for improvement. We keep saying this team's improving. I thought they took a step back yesterday watching the games that I did. They did not look good. There's a lot of things that they need to change. For me, a lot of this comes down to just pure on confidence. There was a moment yesterday on Volskaya where Undead flashbanged 2 people, and then he fanned the hammer. You don't see fan the hammer at the professional level very often because it's not as consistent as just hitting headshots. That speaks to me that he's trying to do too much. He's not confident in his team. This team needs a lot of things to come together, and the individual levels have to work out. We also need to see what Roshan can do as well. But an interesting change right away. Zushu is going to be on the Winston here. They're going to be running a little bit of a different lineup here. They've got 3 support players in. Freefeel is on the Soldier 76, so they're Jackson Pollocking this, man. Throw it all at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly, man. Really, and now it's all about connecting with the shot. Zushu creating some good space here, and his team pushing up behind him, so I like to see this. There's going to be a bit of a dance, and they're not letting up. They're putting the pressure on Mono right now, trying to force him into a tight spot, but of course they're going to have Arc in the back line, keeping his main tank alive.
Well, they do get a couple of kills. Both Zenyatta's out of the mix. Zushu will fall eventually. Freefeel gets very low, still in this though. And these are decent trades for Shanghai. New York trying to come in and clean up. Freefeel does get another kill. So far, his 76 has looked kind of solid. Now, Freefeel, his main hero early on, when he used to go by a different name, was Ana. So the aim and mechanics are there, obviously translating pretty well to the 76 thus far.
Yeah, super solid here from Shanghai. No hesitation. Just going in all guns blazing. That's not to say that New York won't try to get in here and challenge this. They're only halfway to capping point A right now. Undead trying to make it happen. Freefeel finds a kill on Saviobi. That'll definitely help. And we will have the follow-up, or at least the D-Mech on Meko. But there's the trans coming in from Jonak, keeping his team alive. And it's looking like New York, for now at least, will be able to hang in there.
That's exactly how New York always plays. They always come back in. They will fight every single time if given the chance. A small mistiming there to not be able to take down the Baby D.Va. That's why you stick a mech that they're jumping out of. Here comes a blade from Libero. He's been so good on Genji lately.
Oh, you can feel the frustration from Libero. Where did all of my targets go? He's expecting to just go full nano ham on these guys, and yet he gets nothing out of that apart from forcing Shanghai off the point. Will get the kill on MG, however, and that's pretty solid, but Zushu will have the Primal Rage to keep alive a little bit longer here on on point A.
Libero with 2 HP jumps over the wall. He somehow gets out alive. He will go get the big pack there as Shanghai tries to regroup. They were so close. But you know what? I like this. I really like that they're just trying new stuff. Roshan has been, well, I mean, I don't know if he's been the issue, but him on Winston has not worked out for this team. It's the 800-pound dead gorilla in the room, is that his dive has not worked out for them. And switching it up here, absolutely working for them so far, even though they got stifled a little bit there towards the end. Some small mistakes.
Oh, God. That could have been nasty, but they managed to turn around just in the nick of time there, Shanghai Dragons, to stay alive. MG hanging on by a thread. And we will have the Transcendence getting used here by Altering to try and ferry his teammates onto the point. A minute 20 left on the clock here for Shanghai Dragons to cap point A and start the attack on B.
Saviobi still lurking around on the back. The initiation not coming in very strong right now, and that's not in the corner you want to be. You don't want to be in a room alone with Saviobi.
No, because horrible things happen, especially when you have the rest of them going through. Libero connects with 5 King there. Saviobi looked like he picked up that frag, but instead it's going to be Libero getting the dash.
Well, that's a full...
Yep. Every time. You do the work, and then you just got a Genji dashing through, taking your kills.
Yeah. I haven't played DM in a while, and now I remember why.
Exactly. So frustrated to play Tracer DM. You're like, oh, I want a one-clip of Genji's like,
Genji.
nope.
Press shift to kill steal. That's all it is in free-for-all. So annoying. Anyway, 5 King's got his beat to drop, and we have a tactical visor ready to go. However, New York has banked up some ultimates as well, so it's going to take a Herculean effort for Shanghai to be able to crack through this. You're going to take a different angle of approach here, going to right side. This is what a lot of offenses will do to take the high ground naturally.
Well, is he going to be able to get eyes here? Who is trying to prioritize? No, never mind. On that perfect stick. Orc was holding on to the nano. JJoNak's gonna get the headshot on Undead though, so there is a bit of justice in the world here if you're a New York fan. And only 10 seconds left on the clock. Shanghai Dragons, they get reset. And Mano, I love it, goes primal, buying even more time here, forcing Shanghai to stagger into this point and make them easier targets to kill.
MG not having the greatest time on D.Va so far. There were a couple small mistakes. He just hit his head trying to get in there with that self-destruct, ends up leaving his mech outside. Two takeaways there. One, it's good. I like that they're trying new stuff, right? Because so far, I mean, it's been the definition of insanity for Shanghai, trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So now, completely out the window, trying different things. You're seeing some of that come to bear, though, because MG's D.Va did not look comfortable in a couple of instances. One, the self-destruct on the first push. He leaves it right inside the door, which is fine, and then he just meets Libero face-to-face outside of his mech, gets dashed through, so he doesn't get back into a new mech. And there, just mistimed his jump. You saw him coming in, hit his head on the door on the outside. You'd like to drop that self-destruct onto the point, but those small errors are going to happen. So far, I'm impressed that Shanghai is at least trying something different. I thought Freefield played pretty well early on there, and I thought Undead is one of his better tracers, but small mistakes, they can clean it up. I think this is the perfect time for them to be trying new stuff.
Exactly, against an opponent. I mean, it is the David versus Goliath sort of storyline right now, and well, you know, throwing a stone managed to kill a giant. You know, maybe throwing a D.Va in there can do the same here for New York. I don't know. It's a pretty tall ask, but so was that story, right? So, I mean, you definitely want to take advantage of this. You're going to be playing against the best. Try and work out some strategies that perhaps could favor, could work in your favor going forward here in the stage, because it's not over yet here for Shanghai Dragons, who are still looking for their first win in this season, not even just the stage.
What was the moral of the story in David vs. Goliath? Wasn't it just like slingshots OP?
So, yeah, exactly.
That's all
what
it
I
was.
took away from it. You know, sharp, pointy stones in the eye, man, are not pleasant, no matter how big you are. How do you think I survived middle school, Hex? Stones flying everywhere. So, New York Excel, in terms of what they've got in store for us here, I'm very curious. Attack, we got Libero on Hanzo. That would be fun to see him stick on that. We'll see if he actually does. We did see Libero playing some Hanzo yesterday, so why not?
This Shanghai defense is interesting. It's interesting the fact that they have a Mercy on this Shanghai defense. Perhaps it's to keep altering alive for the most part. Not necessarily the most intuitive combo pieces for that Mercy on the side. There's no Pharah, no real great boost targets. Maybe Freefield's going to be getting that as well. But so far, they're just going to poke in right now. Offensively, they're running a Mercy of their own as well. Libero on the Hanzo is super interesting.
Oh, buddy. That is definitely painful.
That's not great.
That's not great. When you run right into the waiting arms of Saebyeolbe, who's going to be more than happy to hug you to death. And already Saebyeolbe working his way towards that pulse bomb. He's got those big meaty tanks to just pump damage into. They're trying to stay alive, but so much progress being made here by New York Excel. They're right on the edge. Are they going to be able to make it back in time? No! Shanghai Dragons. You can see MG boosting in, but he's a split second too late. And New York Excel will pick up the victory here on Hanamura to kick off this series. 1-0.
They're changing a lot, so there's going to be mistakes like that which happen. The tanks did not seem to be on the same page there. MG bailed out. Zushu wanted to remain in, had to jump out late. That means the re-engage was a little bit late as well. They pretty much gave that one up for free. But this is already a little more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Shanghai trying some new stuff. We may see a new rebirth of the Shanghai Dragons so far in this match.
It's entirely possible, or at least we will get to see more of what they have in store for us here, making these changes. Guys, we'll be back after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
3, 2, 1, and live. Welcome to the party.
Oh my goodness! No! So many stars on this lineup. And this is where we see the high quality Overwatch, everybody. Enough of the fun and games. It's time to get the job done.
All right, welcome back from the break, everybody. It's time to get into map 2, which will be our control map. Nepal is coming up next, Hex. And while it's kind of tough to predict what we're going to see here from Shanghai, considering they've really changed things up.
Which is great, because I think being able to predict what Shanghai is going to run is not good. It's not been good thus far. Yeah, I mean, I predict 0 wins if they continue to do what they did. So now at least they're trying new things. I was not expecting to see the changes that we saw. I was going to talk about it, Roshan and the struggles. Can the team play with him? Can they not? Well, I mean, no need to talk about that. He's sitting on the bench right now. They don't have the deepest of rosters just yet. A lot of reinforcements will be incoming, but I think this is a really good change because you get kind of a new infrastructure in place and now new coaching, and you see, show me what you got. What do you guys have? What do you think we need to do? What do you think we need to change? Free Feel, as I mentioned before, kind of came up as an Ana player. That was his specialist. So obviously Ana, a much more mechanically demanding support hero, so that's why he's switching over to DPS. It's not the first time we've seen support move to DPS in the Overwatch League, and some of it's been with varying success, so I want to keep an eye on him. Zushu has been mostly a D.Va player, will also play Pharah for this team. He's a very flexible hero. He's been on the Winston. It's just a matter of getting him and MG on the same page. Who knows what we're going to see from Shanghai, but I think that's exciting. I'm excited to watch this match going forward.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not going to be able to predict it, I mean, in terms of New York right now, they are the top team in this league right now. Pretty much proved that yesterday with the match versus Seoul. I mean, monstrous performance from them then. It was really cut and go for a while there, but now New York, I mean, going up against Shanghai, it is going, if they can't predict what's going to happen, if Shanghai are just completely changing up the game plan here, New York have to be on point to be able to adapt on the fly, and so they're getting tested. For a moment there, it looked a little dicey on Hanamura, where they weren't quite sure what was going on. Yeah. But they did manage to rally.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a punch in the face right there. They had no idea what was going on, what to expect, but New York, one of the top teams, able to adapt. Shanghai is running interesting again, Free Feel. Again, former support has played no DPS this entire Overwatch League so far, now going to be on the Soldier 76. So they're running the same composition they ran last time. We'll see how it works out. Undead's Tracer's left some things to be desired here and there, and we'll see if he can step it up, but it's going to be tough against a god-tier Tracer and SBB.
Yeah, this is the true test, right? You're going up against the final boss here in terms of Tracer play, and so Undead, we'll see what he can deliver here, if he's going to be able to just farm these tanks and get that pulse bomb ASAP, perhaps find a kill with it there. Discord already onto Zushu, forcing him back, and that allows for a quick point take here for New York XL to start things off. Undead trying to find an angle to work, and unfortunately for him, he recalls right back into it, and he's going to be out exposed, just barely getting back around the corner.
That's a small little mistake, though, to give that point up for free. They had people who could have been able to touch toes onto the point and contest. Meanwhile, it's 20% given up that did not have to be given up. Undead gets his first pulse bomb. Will he find it?
Knock it, well, Arc that gets forced out of position, and that allows for Altering to hit him with the volley, pick up that kill. New York, now it's going to be a matter of them getting on here to contest the point, and yes, of course, there will be a man Meko there just in the nick of time. He does get D-Max, but that's given the space here for Saevyobi to go to work. And while it is shaping up very nicely here for New York, they're getting that defense down solid.
Yeah, difficult there for Shanghai. It does seem like everyone, I feel like they're getting more on... It's both, right? That they're mixing things up, but also going back to comfort picks. I think Altering is much better on the Zenyatta than we saw on stage 1 on the Mercy. I thought he was a big issue on that Mercy. 5 King on the Lucio, of course, we talk about him so much. He was the World Cup Lucio for this Chinese national team, Chinese World Cup team. So he's going to be the shot caller. They're going to rely on that sound barrier coming up. They do kick off with the barrier. Hits almost everyone except Altering. Altering's going to have to transcend over top, though. It's a mistake.
That trance now going to be evened out here by Jonah going for a trance of his own. Free Feel was able to eliminate Libero, and so some DPS has been lost, but Saevyobi will take down 5 King, and they're dropping like flies right now. Shanghai Dragons not able to hang. We do have one, MG going for it, it looks like, but not going to find any kills there with his self-destruct either. And so New York, this is another, well, hallmark of their team, which is, oh yeah, you guys can get on the point, that's fine, but we'll win the fight. So you'll get a couple percent, but then we're just gonna take the point back and it's as if nothing happened.
They know what to give up and they know exactly when they're going to be able to take it back. But that's an example from Shanghai of a small mistake leading into a larger one. Not being able to hit altering with the sound barrier. He got jumped on, he got very low, had to pop Transcend to keep himself alive rather than using it later in the fight.
Oh boy, and well, this is just a shooting gallery now for Sabiobi, who's going to just lay on the damage. He's got the help of his tanks as well. A great collapse here from New York XL onto the group of Shanghai Dragons. And while even with Primal Rage, Su is going to die. And so it will be the overtime burning down, and New York will take the lead 1-0 here on the control map.
Just absolutely methodical, clinical, any way you want to say it there. They engaged on the point when they chose to engage, and then they just got that free capture really hurts because then it forces Shanghai to jump onto the point, whereas New York can sit back. You saw when Undead was trying to attack the flanks, they were sitting behind walls, they're off the point, so it's only Undead tickling them. And that's because they have control. They don't have to be out in position. And yes, it's a difference of 2 and 3 feet here and there, but those 2 and 3 feet are behind cover or not behind cover.
Right, exactly. If you've got to get out there, I mean, you're going to be opening yourself up to Libero, who's going to mow you down in droves. We saw that. And it seems like really what you're seeing is that New York, their tanks and their DPS are working so well together to find those squishy targets. And then it doesn't matter who gets the kill so long as the kill happens. And so you've got Mono picking up final blows, just like you've got Sabiobi and Libero picking them up as well. Super solid from New York. It's what we expect to see from them. Now it's up to Shanghai to come up with something better here, and Undead has switched over to the McCree.
This is his best hero by 1.5 miles, in my opinion. It's not even close. He's a great McCree player, struggles a little bit on everything else. They're running a Mercy with this, which is something the Chinese region has done before. We called it ground beef because Mercy's very vulnerable on the ground, trying with escapes and things like that. But it's going to be damage boosting both of these hit scan heroes. It should be a great damage output. Yet again, first point not even contested. New York takes control.
Yeah, not able to force their way through the choke point. And now, well, New York have got the advantage of positioning. They're holding that choke. They can do whatever they want. Sabiobi's got the pulse. Bit of a tight spot, but he's going to be able to get in line of sight here to get topped up by his healers. Undead finds a kill on JJoNak, though, and that's big, which will finally give Shanghai an edge here to work with in this upcoming fight.
Are they insta-valk too? Altering got there and just hit it as soon as he got to 100%. So much healing going on. They're going to barrier in response to this. Still no one dead on the point because of all this healing output. Barrier came on for Shanghai as well. Deadeye comes down, but Sabiobi shuts it down.
The desperation one. And no, that's not where you want to be right now, Altering. Get out of there. Sabiobi is currently hunting him down, but they will win the fight, Shanghai Dragons. In the end, they prevail. Sabiobi's been caught, but he'll go ahead and back off, reunite with his teammates. And I think JJoNak going down first in that fight really shifted it Shanghai's way because both support ults came out for Shanghai Dragons. JJoNak, you can see, only just now getting up to his trance.
I think that's why I really like the McCree here. Look, you can try to run Tracer into JJoNak, but you do so at your own peril. You would rather have some distance between the person who can kill JJoNak and not. In McCree, he can just two-tap a Zenyatta from across the map, and that's over. Undead, I think, on his best hero is so good right now. It also prevents the tanks from diving in so freely on his supports. There's a flashbang waiting.
Pulse eaten up. Not going to happen there for Sabiobi. A little bit of a shake of the head from him, but Libero has got his tac visor. And now it's just a matter of exactly getting the D-Matrix out of the way, getting the bubble out of the way, and then they're going to have to stand on that point and accept the hail of bullets coming at him once Libero finds his angle.
The tank ultimates overlap for Shanghai. Another example of overlapping ultimates you don't necessarily want to do, but now they're doing a great job just keeping people on the point. Now they still have 60%. Another barrier comes out for NYXL. They should try to push in on this.
Wow, Arik has really been farming up those quick. MG with the DMAC, and that's all he was waiting for. Libero looking for the follow-up. Undead! Attempted hero play there from him, but the self-destruct from Meko going to lay them all low. Shanghai Dragons wiped off the face of the map, and New York XL will flip the point.
Not all that terrible for Shanghai considering, though, because New York had to throw everything they had at this. Of course, this is just Sabiobi doing, well, I mean, just Sabiobi stuff. Sticks right there. Unfortunately, MG walks into his own support there. But New York also threw in a self-destruct. They also used a tactical visor. They used almost everything that they had there. Five King's done a great job sticking with Arc, who's had barrier every time, but he's been answered as well. So, see if Undead can set up a Deadeye here as the High Noon comes out.
Comes out. Does he have any juicy targets? Looks like they're playing the angles correctly though, New York. And well, Undead not really going to get anything out of that ult apart from some space to work with perhaps. Sabiobi kind of dancing around on the edge here. Looking to get into that back line. He will find free field. That's interesting for him, but it's Altering he's looking for, an Altering half HP. Gonna be able to make it out of here, it looks like, or at least forced off the side of the map.
They really tried to get him back into the mix. MG went over the edge so that he could Guardian to him, but that just means MG puts himself in a bad spot as well. Shanghai, though, is going to have one last chance at this. Should get to Valk.
Struck, but look, Sabiobi's positioning. He's been spotted. Zushu doesn't seem to realize.
Oh, that can't happen. Not at 95%.
No heals. The pulse out there. Well, that was an interesting one here from Sabiobi, just chucking everything in. But Libero with attack visor, perfect timing from him. It's going to force, well, an impossible situation on Shanghai Dragons where they're just not going to be able to get through that choke point to back up their tanks. Discord immediately thrown down here on Zushu, and even with the Primal, he gets nailed.
Altering his pop Valk as well. He used the Resurrection on Zushu to get him back in Primal Rage mode, but it is all over but the tears as New York will close out Nepal. Gotta say, though, there are some signs of life. Even from map 1 to map 2, Shanghai looks a little bit better. The tanks were working well. Now it's a matter of finishing out the next wrinkle, which is don't overlap some of these ults.
Yep.
You know, don't overlap your tank ults, don't overlap your support ultimates, but as far as individual and mechanical play, Shanghai's looking like a different team.
It's looking like they are making progress for sure, and while it is tough to compare them to New York, a team, the very best team. So we'll take a break and we'll hear what the desk have to say after that.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Things went from 0 to 100 real quick, and it's all NYXL at the half. They lead 2-0 after back-to-back map wins. Welcome back, everybody, to the desk. It's Puckett. I got the whole halftime crew. It's Bren.
It's the great reinforce. And this was a very speedy first half to our first match of the day.
It was. It was very speedy. Or well, we started out with 4 minutes, and then it got really speedy. But
At that point, yeah. I mean, I'm actually slightly annoyed as well that you stole my line to intro that one.
You're not fast enough,
So
Brent.
I was not quick enough with that one. Maybe I should be the host next time. That way I can fit in as many
We'll
references
talk
as
to
I
our
like.
director about that. It's probably
Possibly.
not going to go for you. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we saw on Hanamura, because I want to start here with the discussion around defense, Johnny. Today, New York XL, they get to be the defenders. They're the home team. They have that defender's advantage every round. What did we see from this squad? How did they just snuff out the Shanghai Dragons at the gate?
it seemed like New York were just playing themselves, honestly. And it comes down to Sabiolbi always flanking around the backside. So Shanghai Dragons, they were hiding inside the house, of course. And then New York, they do the pincer attack. Sabiolbi hits up the back. Libero and Mono from the front. And from there, there's so much damage from all directions. And Shanghai Dragons, they just couldn't deal with the fast tempo New York were pushing out.
One thing to derive from this as well, actually, that I actually quite like that New York doing is that they're not playing down to their opponents, actually. They're coming at them with full force, which is a sign, in my opinion, of respect, to be honest, for a team. If they were not playing at maximum capacity, if they were showing them a bit of a weak performance and making it go and stretch out a little bit, then, you know, it is disrespectful towards the team themselves. But the fact that they're playing as hard as they possibly can, they're playing at the level we saw them against Seoul the other day, which, you know, is very impressive. And they, again, it's like a game of chess almost when you watch the map view of these players, the way they're moving around the map. It's very orchestrated, very precise in their movements, and they're not really letting us down here in this game today.
Give Junkrat a bath. I love the signs we have here in the Blizzard Arena. You guys are freaking awesome. Okay, let's keep this moving now into game number 2, because we're watching Control, and I asked Johnny, what's one of the most impressive parts of this team? And he said it's the mentality. What specifically about their approach do you like from the New York XL?
Well, about their approach, I think that it's so they're very versatile, you know. If Sabiolbi, if it isn't working out for him, then they can adapt and, okay, we'll hit up the tanks. But if it's working out for Sabiolbi, then they'll set up for an attack on the backline, of course. So they're always adapting, and then it comes down to the hero swaps. We always hear Monte Cristo talk about, oh, they're swapping between all the different heroes and all the different playstyles in-game. So it's very impressive to me how they're prepared for every opponent just by sheer game knowledge, not necessarily strategic coaching preparation.
All right, let's take a look here at some of the moments here in game number 2, and we're going to start things off here with our insights powered by Intel. New York is looking to take over the control point, but they don't just rush in like you gold noobs. No, they take their time. Johnny, walk us through.
Yeah, there's some patience coming out from New York on the defense here. So Shanghai Dragons, of course, they're setting up for an attack on the main area. Of course, they're going to move towards the point, but instead of just New York securing the front area, normally you'd see perhaps Mono just jump in here when they spot out the Shanghai Dragons and just block the area, get some damage in early, of course. But instead, we're seeing some patience coming out for the New York Excelsior. So we're going to see Undead hit up the point, apply some pressure, and force some rotations out of New York. But then later, Mono, he's going to take his time, and finally, around here is when you start to engage. So because they have this patience, they're able to set up their dive, and they pick off altering straight away, of course. So instead of having to wait and hit up the front line, you know, you have a bit of poke damage going on, we see an organized dive coming onto the back line instead when the opportunity is there, because normally you'd wait out for your supports, of course, to be in the back line. But this time, you know, New York, they're specifically preparing for this scenario.
So I really, really like that, actually, especially that last dive that you were showing as well, how they were patient with it, because normally you do see teams dive quite deep in through that choke point, but in this case, because they knew that Shanghai Dragons were going to have to play the point, they were going to have to touch it, essentially, to trigger the overtime going over. That's where, essentially, New York knew that they were going to have the advantage in terms of positioning. They knew that Shanghai were going to have to a bit of, you know, rush, get out of positioning a little bit, and that's Mano's opportunity to just strike in and jump man in.
We've seen some super clean dives coming in from New York so far. If you're Shanghai, you have to expect it in the second half. Johnny, who's the one hero or the one character in the game you need to be most afraid of?
The most afraid of if you're Shanghai Dragons?
Yeah, so if someone's jumping in,
you need to be scared of Sabiolbi. Yeah, you need to be scared of Sabiolbi. And I think they're playing well around the Sabiolbi Tracer. They're picking up to something that we saw Seoul do yesterday, of course. We saw that the Seoul Dynasty side, they were using the Soldier on Fleta to apply some poke damage onto Sabiolbi, and he couldn't do as much as he wanted. So if they use Free Feel in this scenario to hit some damage onto Sabiolbi, then you don't have to deal with Sabiolbi's Tracer anymore. He's forced to retreat, get some health packs going. So if you apply some pressure on the Sabiolbi, I think it's much easier game for you.
So the danger of that, though, Johnny, as well, is the fact that you apply this pressure to Sabiolbi. Yeah, that's all well and good. You force him back, but then you've got Libero to deal with as well, right? And Libero is, in my opinion, as well, is the character, the guy you want to be watching out for on this server because he's currently an absolute dominant figure. We saw it in the Seoul Dynasty game the other day. He absolutely turned up massively, so much more than we were used to before in the past as well, because we've always talked about Libero's consistency. And I do hope we have some highlights as well to show Libero's game.
I was going to say, so we just watched Sabiolbi, and when we were seeing the highlights, it felt like he's always shooting someone in the right shoulder blade. Their back is always facing them. When you're watching Libero, what's his approach, Brent?
It's the coordination, though. This is the reason why his dive and his Genji is so good, is because he works so well with the rest of his team. And you can see here, he whipped out the Hanzo. He's been using the Hanzo more and more regularly as well. I mean, again, apologies to your ranked games. You're going to be seeing a lot more of him recently because of his performance on that one role. He's been absolutely crushing it time and time again. But it's not just the projectile rolls. You can see he's running the Soldier 76. He's on a mixture of heroes, and he's putting in the same level, the consistency.
Yeah, it is the consistency. That's the best part about Libero, because I think that Pine necessarily, you know, he's the wild card, and you put in Pine and he just pops off and gets picked. But Libero is so smart. So I think Sabiolbi enables Libero in many ways, because Libero is on the Genji. He needs to know when do I dive into the backline, of course, and Sabiolbi opens it up. So Libero, he's so consistent because he always knows when to dive in and when to go aggressive.
I'm putting Johnny on the spot real quick. You ready, Johnny?
No, I'm not ready.
It's halftime. If
No.
you had to name a player of the match already, who would it be?
It would be Libero.
We've been taking an improv class.
What is that?
Johnny got a Libero out of his mouth. That's the win for me. That's going to do it for our halftime show. When we come
both.
back, we're going to Hollywood. Will New York close it out, or is Shanghai going to keep it close? We'll find out in just a minute.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
The NYXL continue to show why they are the top team in the league, as they are up 2-0 on the Shanghai Dragons. And now the Dragons, they have a whole nother half to bring it back, and we'll find out soon if they can do that. But first, the NYXL, they have a very dedicated fan base. And there's a fan base in particular back in New York known as the 5 Deadly Venoms. These guys get together at the Waypoint Cafe in New York for some insane watch parties. And we actually got a chance to send some cameras out to tag along to see just how litty this crew gets when NYXL takes the stage.
My name's Rich, AKA the Great Root Bear, and I'm the founder of the 5 Deadly Venoms here in New York City. As we're heading in to the start of Overwatch League, there were a number of us that were looking for a place to watch the game. I find Waypoint Cafe. Ask the owner, hey, are you gonna be showing the league games? They say yes.
The biggest thing, though, for the cafe was the huge uptick that we got ever since showing the games with the 5 Deadly Venoms crew and everything.
I had seen a lot of esports. I've watched a lot over the years, you know, and seeing Overwatch was something special. We just kind of got together, and it was about a group of about 15, 16 of us that came here opening night. That started an entire train of things, and slowly but surely, we've just started growing.
Please make some noise and welcome the squad from the Big Apple. It's the NYXL.
Oof. The 5 Deadly Venoms, I would say, are just as enthusiastic about New York XL as any, like, hardcore sports fan. The people that you see who go to, like, football games and tailgate.
When the teams were started, for the first time, you could choose from any team you want, any style of play.
Oh, a sleep dart from Arc! Are you kidding me? This guy is crazy!
But I'll tell you, New York Excelsior is a very different kind of team because they've probably got one of the most personable sets of individuals that you can have.
Xavier will be going crazy right now. He gets spree, are you kidding me?
This community here at the cafe is super passionate about Overwatch and extremely, almost over-the-top passionate about New York XL.
The payload moving forward, and New York does it! What a king's throw that was!
Sometimes we do get worried that we might get a noise complaint because we're not really issued as a bar.
What's really great about the 5 Deadly Venoms is that we're really about rallying around both the players and the team at large. The beauty of this is that it's about how the community comes together in each of these areas and makes something for themselves, something bigger than themselves, that rallies behind that flag of New York Excelsior.
And that is it. New York Excelsior will complete the sweep.
That's so sick. Shout out to the 5 Deadly Venoms and everybody in New York. If you guys are watching right now, you guys are sick. That's awesome, man. That's how you want to watch these games.
Yeah, I mean, it made me really jealous, and I don't have like a secret handshake or a high five thing with any. We'll work on something maybe.
Well, usually it's a cheers, but
yeah.
that's how
we graduated. Yeah, that's right.
Over at Guildhall. Shout out to Guildhall for showing all the games. Usually, like if you're a Los Angeles Valiant fan or a Los Angeles Gladiators fan, you know they're always showing the games over there. So definitely go and check it out over there in Burbank. Super sick place to be. But yeah, we have a few subs, a little bit of the change going on here for New York and for Shanghai. We've got Roshan coming through here for altering, and then over here we have Janice for New York replacing Mano. So just a couple of the subs coming through.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Shanghai substitution here, because I think what we're seeing with Shanghai now is now that they're under a new organization, and maybe not new org, but things have shaken up, right?
Sure.
The hierarchy has been changed up. A lot of these players are playing for their jobs now. You have to think so, because there's a lot of new players coming in, and now I think the pressure is getting to them. And I think particularly the pressure is getting to Undead a little bit, just based on how he's playing. I mentioned it before the matches. You don't see a whole lot of fanning the hammer off of a flashbang. The pros usually, I mean, especially Undead, I've seen him hit it before. Hit headshots when people are moving. Real easy to hit headshots on not moving targets. That's what flashbang gives you. But he seems under a little bit of pressure, maybe feeling that his place is not as secure in the Shanghai organization as it once was. You know, when they change management, you never know. Everyone's got to fight for their spot.
There is that, but there's also, Hex, a situation, and we've seen this in other games as well, where if things aren't working out and a particular player feels like, hey, I really have to go above and beyond for us to even have a chance, that's where you can start to see cracks. You can start to see weaknesses develop in that player because he's putting too much pressure on himself individually instead of trusting the team step up as a unit.
There are definitely trust issues going on too, and I would agree 100% because another example would be yesterday on this map on Hollywood, MG. There was one moment in particular, he's playing Roadhog, he gets up on a second roof, he hits a hook, he goes for it, then he goes for his whole hog, 1v2, he gets killed immediately. That means that whole hog is gone. That's trying to do too much, not falling back to your team, not getting the support, so it does seem like they're all trying to carry, they're all trying to put on their best tape, but in doing so, you're putting down some of their worst tape.
Yeah, you're hurting the team.
Yeah.
And it's that's such a tough situation to find yourself in. And I don't think that anybody envies Shanghai right now just because they have such a difficult spot to work their way out from. And so we are going to have these players still trying to step up. They are an attack here for Hollywood. They're going up against the beasts that are New York. We're currently sitting #1 in the league. And so let's see what we have in store for us here. Shanghai Dragons rolling out with Roshan on the Reinhardt. Always a good time that. And it will be that triple tank here right out the gate, Tex.
Yeah, triple tank, and they're going to throw in a Junkrat here. Not necessarily always the offense you see with a Junkrat, but they're going to take the high ground right away. He's going to be hammering down over top there, and now the tanks will rotate up with him. I love that trap right there, too. It buys his team time for them to come up, and now they've taken away high ground here. Overall, good positioning so far from Shanghai.
What's he got against the coffee shop, too, man? Just raining grenades down into it, you know, hoping to catch him in a constricted area. He does manage to spot out one angry hog, but unfortunately for him, there's just so much HP there for Sabiobi to work with that he's going to be able to back off, and now it's the total melee here on the point. Everybody trying to get topped up, everybody trying to find a kill. Freefield not waiting at all, unleashes the Lighthouse, and that's going to be enough to drop Janus here. Perhaps an opening for Shanghai Dragons to take advantage of.
Yeah, they say to don't cross the streams, but sometimes it's absolutely necessary when you're facing a boss the caliber of NYXL. Still, though, Shanghai does have one tick, looking for a little bit more, but this is where New York is so good. Pulling back fights where they lose the initial couple of kills.
Oh, the hero sound barrier coming out from Five King, negating Jonak and his Lighthouse of his own, the Coalescence. Oh, Mecco! Monster self-destruct. As soon as the ults wear off, he just blows him to smithereens. Five King is out of it. Now Sabiobi just hunting, wanting to get this stagger on Azushu, who's got nobody there to help him.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of yesterday's Hollywood for Shanghai, where they disengage but don't disengage far enough, and they get hunted down as they try to leave the scene. And yeah, that self-destruct got itself too, but really just stealing 2 kills from the Earth Shatter because you're not hiding from the self-destruct when you're lying on the ground. You see the sweet release of the Morning Star above.
The combo. Now it's going to be Shanghai working their way back in. Undead has got a tire, so curious to see when he decides to unleash that one. Roshan has got his Earth Shatter as well. Undead now with the tire, straight into the mix, trying to keep it alive, trying to dance and find an angle to come through on high, and yes, Libero will get picked. There's the opening yet again here for Shanghai Dragon. Now it's a matter of finishing the job, and MJ pushing him into the corner. New York can't even get onto the point to contest.
Got to finish some of those kills, though. MG got everybody very low. Now he's going to go after the D.Va in this mix. They're all still getting back to the cafe. Got to finish kills. Mecco out of mech. Giannis now dead as well, so it does seem Shanghai should be able to take point A Hollywood.
Last second contest there from Arc, but it's not going to be enough, and they will find success. Shanghai Dragons, first try. They had a bit of a similar setup. They get a pick to start, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. This time around, however, Undead finding that kill, really creating the opportunity here for his team, and an instant swap coming out from him as well, straight onto the Widowmaker. No Widow to answer here for New York either.
I think Freefield is a very good Moira, and I think that's going to be a hero we should see him on more. It's kind of the same mentality you have when you're running an Ana. It's like, yeah, I want to help, but I also want to hurt. And so Moira allows you to do the same. That's just kind of the mentality of the support player. And we get Coalescence up so quickly, and you're kind of calling targets by just where you're putting the beam. Stay in the beam, you get healed, stay in the beam, and the other team dies.
Right, so there have been changes here for the heroes on New York XL. We do have Libero, and well, speak of the devil, Libero hits the headshot on Undead, drops him, but Freefield is there with the Coalescence to hunt down Arc. That's a big kill. Still 2 coming right back at him for New York XL, and it's outright chaos on the point itself, but Shanghai Dragons are hanging in there. They have not given up. Self-destruct in deep, but it will get canceled out by the shield. And Roshan doing a great job here of protecting his allies.
That's so far doing a great job just keeping that shield up. They're going to try to get a little bit more pressure going forward, and they brought back that fight. Whoa. The Earth Shatter does not hit much. It looks like he launched D.Va into the air. She was just flying on her own right there. Create a little bit of space. Zushu with a self-destruct. This can be a very good self-destruct point if you find it up over the corner.
Exactly right. limited access, limited hiding spots there for New York XL, but you've got Saebyeolbe kind of working around the angle, and there will be Zushu just chucking it out in the open, not going to find anybody, but he does get his new mech, so the fight can continue. Saebyeolbe has got Pulse now, and now it's just a matter of time. You just watch it. It's like a glacier moving forward, crushing everything in sight as Saebyeolbe works his way around the back line, goes for the stick, knockout, never mind, he still gets the kill on 5King.
Stuck it to the back of the limousine. 5King unable to get away from that just quickly enough, and now is when NYXL should be able to stabilize. Saebyeolbe dancing around. He's only got a couple left in front of him, and it is time to go home. Oddly, we see MG on the Tracer. I mean, every time I look up at this Shanghai team, something new stands out to me. MG on the Tracer could be something we'll see. Again, I think this is really just in an audition phase right now. Shanghai is trying to see what works out for this team, what compositions will work out. And a lot of this is, I think, just based on coordination and who's working well with the rest of their team, regardless of what role they're on.
This is a bit of a tough spot to find yourself in here if you are Shanghai. Because Libero's got the high ground, Undead has got to find an angle here to work with, but that means that Libero can just rain down the headshots as soon as Shanghai come around that corner. And so this is exactly it. One of the answers, perhaps. Roshan goes diving in, trying to get rid of that enemy Widow, and he even never mind, he doesn't get out alive. Of course, Jonak is going to hit the orb midair.
I mean, the moment you saw Roshan alone in the roof 1v5, you knew exactly what was going to happen. This is a scene that we've seen play out time and time again for the Shanghai Dragons. I don't know if they don't talk to Roshan or Roshan doesn't talk to the team, but it's been an issue since day one, game one, stage one. This is something that they have to figure out. Roshan on the Winston. It's not worked for them, period. End of statement, end of paragraph, end of novel. That has been an issue for them, and I don't know why it keeps happening. This has to be something they fix or stop doing it.
We're maybe venturing back into the realms of insanity here.
It's frustrating to watch. It's driving me insane.
Meko can just drop the self-destruct over the wall here if they're all grouped up again. Kind of a Saebyeolbe moment. They might hold on to it just a little bit longer because, again, Roshan goes leaping into the fray.
Hey,
this time
Diva!
he actually has Zushu with him, backing him up, and so it looks like he will survive. A little bit more of an angle to work with there. Meko on the hunt for the Tracer, but he is going to just go ahead and challenge on the payload. Exactly what he needs to do is Janus finds the kill on Undead. Meko can drop the self-destruct at will, and sure enough, right in the thick of things, no Reinhardt shield to keep him alive this time around, and he'll find 2 kills.
Gets both tanks with that one, and it is going to be the last gasp here for the Shanghai Dragons. That is very likely where the limousine will stop in this Westworld phase of Hollywood. It's where they got stifled a little bit yesterday. Victory Primal on the carts, and now NYXL will switch it over to their offense.
And we'll get to see exactly what they have in store for us here. Could go for the dive, whole variety of different options. Hollywood is a fun first point because you can see a whole variety of things getting thrown at it by the different teams here in the league. Everybody's got their kind of signature style.
It's time for Symmetra, I think.
Hey, that would, like, dude, Sim Torb. Just go Sim Torb on defense.
Sim used to be really good on Hollywood. She used to be decent on a lot of maps, but have not seen her so far anymore. I think a lot of it is, well, it's not a lot. There's a lot of different reasons, but the rise of Winston can be marked with Symmetra being very bad too, because he gets in there, spins in a circle, and there go all of your turrets.
Yeah.
And with how good teams are at hunting down teleporters and even shield gens, and even her ultimate becomes very useless. But I don't know why we're talking about Symmetra. She hasn't been played at all.
Well, she's had like
Overwatch.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, and then what happened? Like, I think it was Mickey. He ran out and then got ferried back to spawn by the Lucios. So that he could actually
we're getting trolled here pretty hard. Undead very, very quiet that round. He was spent a lot of time in spawn. I mean, it's difficult because you have to run a Widow against a Widow on Hollywood second. You don't have a whole lot of choices unless you're going to commit both tanks to dive in. Committing both tanks to do anything has not been Shanghai's strong point. It seems like they have a very difficult time coordinating their tanks together, and that's the polar opposite of you see these very high-end teams. I've talked about, you look at like London, and it's the London tank because they play so well together that it might as well be one hero. It has been the exact opposite for Shanghai. They have a very difficult time coordinating their tank play together, and that's something that has to change. You asked me actually, how is this Shanghai team built? Like, are they duos from other teams? Is it a tank line from another team? Is it a support line from another team? And the answer is no. It's they took a support and a tank from a team that was established in China. They took a DPS and a tank from a team that was established. So those pre-existing synergies that a lot of these teams were built around do not exist for the Shanghai Dragons.
You can see in their play, you're right. That's why at the end there, we did get a little bit of a window when Zushu actually followed Roshan in on the dive. There is a glimmer of hope here. It's not all dark days, but Shanghai Dragons now, it's a matter of them surviving here versus New York. As New York take them for a bit of a walk ride. They're getting a tour of the studios. Exciting times here for New York. And Saebyeolbe getting the deep mech already on Zusha with those hooks. And he's just gonna hang out on his own.
Nah, he's gonna go back to the left and look for a hook, I think.
Yeah, ponder the meaning of life. You know,
wants
wait
it.
for his team to like draw the attention over here, and then guess what's gonna happen? You can see it coming from a mile away. He can't hide anything from you, Hex.
No, unfortunately. I do have the benefit of about 8 screens in here, so I do have the Eye of God. Undead goes down yet again very early on in this fight. The huge hook! Roshan out of it, 6v4. And this one is all about over. Offense should take first point after they clean up the rest of it.
Yeah, they just need to get rid of the pesky Moira. Free feel with no fade, can't survive. And that will be the point taken here by New York Excel. No chance, just keeping an eye on things, no chance for Shanghai to get in here and contest, even just to go and die on the point. So they will be setting up that second point defense here over in Westworld. Undead instantly changing over to the Widow. This time he's got the advantage of high ground to kick things off.
Yeah, this is the point that you want to be on. Back left roof right there. Of course, they do know that's exactly where he's going to be. Though, so far, no great answers to it. I think New York is comfortable with dealing with the Widow in a multitude of ways. I think they're probably just going to send tanks after this.
There we go. They spot her. Gets dangerously low there, Janice. That's not comfortable, but we will have the tire going straight in, finding free field again. Jonak is there with the kill on 5King and the D-Mech as well. And while they are just picking him off at will right now, New York Excel plowing through this defense.
Yeah, Moira's not really one of the targets that should be dying to a tire, one of the few people with a very good escape against it. Actually, she's very good at baiting out the tire and then baiting away from it. Not going to be the case. New York continues to push rather easily. 1 kill from Undead did go down onto Libero. Libero decides
that orb right now is doing so much damage from Jonak. All right, sorry.
Libero decides he's had enough getting killed right there. He got killed once and is going to switch to Widow, trying to switch it back. Now, Shanghai has ultimates to work with. Need to hit a shatter here to stabilize.
Oh boy. Oh, Saebyeolbe, Freefield heard ya. Forces out the escape from Freefield. Freefield's a dead man! Unless he can do something about this, Saebyeolbe not going to be able to commit to it. It looked like there was some support from Shanghai Dragons to keep their healer alive, but the sound barrier will go down for both teams here. A bit of an extended fight. Janice getting hooked in, has to leap back to safety, but they're trying to play this safe, and it's Undead to kick things off with a key kill, taking down Libero.
That's pretty important right there. Shanghai had used a couple ultimates to no avail, though. Both the Earthshatter and Whole Hog did go down during that chase sequence on to the Moira. Meanwhile, Saebyeolbe comes back to life, takes down 2.
Man, and that, I mean, Lighthouse lasts so long. You can see heals, damages. That made a big difference. And Janice just playing with them right now. 5King. Oh, no, he is stuck in jail, too. 5King not going to be able to get out. Janice is going to get the kill on him, and that's a support dead for Shanghai going into the next fight.
New York's been playing with their food for about the last 30 seconds or so. That's probably the reason Saebyeolbe was trying to 1v1 the Moira, not necessarily the target selection that you generally see here. However, MG gets a kill. Not quite over for Shanghai. They're stabilizing here. MG has come to life, gets himself a second one on his Roadhog. And with the respawn advantage of the defense, New York might have to regroup, take this one a little more seriously if they want to close on Hollywood.
Well, Sound Barrier going to get chucked out as well. Undead and Swift over Cariza. We'll see if he can get back into this fight fast enough. And yes, MG just committing the whole hog, not even holding back. Wants to guarantee that frag on Janice. So Jonak deciding to back off, even with the Coalescence going.
MG's Roadhog is much better than his Diva. I feel very confident in saying that his Diva just does not work well with Roshan. That's been an issue for them. But when the last several days, when we've seen him play the Roadhog, he's mechanically good on it. He gets whole hogs very quickly, finishes kills. He's smart when he uses it for the most part. So I think Shanghai's still finding their footing on what heroes work best. And at this point in time, you have to throw the meta out the window and just play something that's going to give you a chance to win.
Yeah. Chance to win, speak of it. You know, New York Excel just switching it up. What works? What's worked for us in the past? Dive. Get in there, murder everything. Saebyeolbe's got a pulse bomb. He's gonna love to stick that on a tank to start things off. Finds a bit of a squishy target though, and there it is, the collapse working with Janice. Like clockwork, it's perfect. Saebyeolbe's there to find the kill along with his tank. That's gonna kick things off here for New York Excel. We will have the Coalescence getting thrown in here by Freefield, trying to keep those big, beefy targets alive. Saebyeolbe hanging around on the angle, still looking to follow up here.
5King has just been so far from his team the last 2 fights. He gets punished for it there. He got knocked into the wall earlier. It's been interesting to see his positioning, why he's sitting up top on there rather than being down with his team. They do get a couple of tank kills though. Shanghai's tanks have brought them back from the brink several times. There it was MG and then Zishu being able to take a couple of kills down. JJoNak is, it's unfair.
Might as well be a
really
sniper.
Unfair.
Man, he knows how to play with orbs.
It's the most mechanically gifted Zenyatta in all the Overwatch League. It's just unfair. And what's so impressive to me is that you have to have Zenyatta specialist because he plays differently. The projectile is weird. It moves at a different speed. And watch JJoNak do it. He's just in tune with these orbs.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're not even going to matter. Coalescence that's not going to save you there from Libero's sweet, sweet blade. And there it is. New York Excel. Back of JJonak's orbs, the blade comes through from Libero, everything falling together and just really taking their time about the push in the end. New York, all they needed to do was just go through, their playbook is so deep. They're like, okay, this didn't work, all right, change it up. All right, next thing. Oh, there we go, we finally get it to work.
Yeah, they don't really have to go deep diving here. They're just kind of playing with their food a little bit. It looked like they're having a little bit of fun, chasing down, forcing people into jail, but that is New York Excel taking the series 3-0. We've got map 4 coming up after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Awesome. Everybody give it up for NYXL. Taking map 3. They're looking very strong, very strong. Guys, I had a couple of announcements I wanted to make. I know
Zoe, and once again, I went full detective mode for everyone out there. Pre-match discussion on the desk, we discussed the lack of Pine. Yeah, we haven't seen him ever since week 1 of stage 2, so that's been quite a while ago. I did talk to their coaching staff earlier this week and asked, where is Pine? And what they told me was Pine has struggled to maintain good conditioning for matches. They hope he gets better soon. As I mentioned on the desk, I wasn't quite sure what that actually means, so I went to follow up on it during halftime and got to talk to their team once again about the lack of Pine, and it actually told me that he's not physically ill, but he is currently lethargic, he has a lack of energy, and he just doesn't really feel well. He could play. Again, he's not ill, but he's missing home, he's missing family, he's missing friends, he's missing Korean food, and he just doesn't seem to have the energy to play, so that's why he's currently taking a break. But you know what, Big Boss Pine? Your team got your back, and the fans in here got your back. We hope to see you back on stage very soon. But for now, let's hand it to your team on map number 4. Let's see if they can make it a clean sweep. For all the action, we're going to hand it over to Hex and Semler.
Thank you so much, Zoe. And yeah, I mean, that's good information to have in terms of why isn't Pine actually in the mix. I had my theory of, New York just looking to lock it down. And well, that kind of strengthens that. If Pine isn't feeling it, you're not going to put him into the game.
Hey, sometimes these get tuckered out. I mean, it's a long season. We got a lot more Overwatch to go. I don't know.
So what? Just like wrap him up with a blanket. Here's some cocoa. Take a nap.
You know
and
how
then get back into this.
You know how I'm feeling today. So like, yes, that sounds wonderful. I want to be wrapped up in a blanket like a burrito, burrito, if you will. Detective Zoe on the case. You're a loose cannon, Zoe, but you're a damn good cop.
Okay, yeah. I like it, Detective Sergeant. Where are we going into this next? It is going to be Route 66. Now, New York have won the series, and while New York right now are just looking to lock down this last map, they want that 4-0 to extend their lead here in stage 2. They've got Seoul nipping at their heels, and so getting a clean 4-0 here versus Shanghai is going to be very beneficial for New York when it comes to the playoffs at the end of the stage next week.
I definitely agree. That's what they're going for here. I believe yesterday Shanghai had a very difficult Route 66 trying to get out of spawn, which is brutal because generally you get to at least first bend and team's just going to give up because the defender's advantage is so strong. Once after first bend, you have high ground on Big Earls. You've got the pack rooms and the tunnels, but they were just sitting right outside of the main spawn, which is a little bit, disheartening, to not be able to get out of spawn.
You can say it, BM.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough stuff right there.
I mean, that's a tough sort of situation to find yourself in where you're just getting constantly pummeled. And well, you're just like, but this isn't how it's supposed to go. Unfortunately, life is suffering, and sometimes it's just not going to be pleasant.
You're so French.
I should have said that. Suffering.
There it is.
These are so dark, Hex.
I can listen to it all day. And I totally agree. Life is suffering. But we're on Route 66 here, New York XL, going to be running a Sombra, it does appear. Libero would be on that Sombra. And then they've got some interesting. So they're running the Sombra with one of their DPS players. It seems to have different styles on it. Actually, I think it's somewhat map dependent as well, what you want to do there. They are summoning the sprays. Something happening here.
All right. And then Monkey!
That was great.
I love that. Is my favorite emote, the dance emote for Winston.
I need that clipped immediately. I did not expect it. Monkey out of nowhere.
That was great. All right, let's see. Is there going to be Monkey out of nowhere here for Shanghai? Yes, Roshan is on his Winston to start things off. NG, well, essentially full dive setup here for Shanghai Dragons, just hoping to jump in there and start eviscerating New York. Question of whether New York is going to let that happen or not. We've got basically, DPS Sombra support, lots of support here for New York XL.
Yeah, MG on an audition day today, it appears, and he's going to be running the Genji, and that's actually a role that Shanghai could really use filling. Dia is not a natural Genji, neither is Undead. Both have a very similar pool. They could use Projectile Player. Undead is able to finish up Libero. The dive working out well so far. Taking the Sombra out of the mix is a huge opening kill.
Yeah, that's nice. It's going to shut down that EMP, delay it a little further. You got MG still looking for the angles. Going to find Jonak there. Lots of damage dealt to Jonak. Forces him back around the corner. I'm liking this pressure here from Shanghai Dragons to kick things off. That payload right now is burning rubber.
Yeah,
well, it's levitating very quickly.
Burning magnetic field for. I'm not sure how magnets work, but I think that's how.
Exactly. It's almost like there were tracks under the asphalt.
Exactly.
And it's just floating to victory. We've got Roshan getting in. Oh no, he can't get any heals, and he's gonna get slept. set for the nap. He does have Zushu there to back him up, but Zushu's dropping dangerously low as well. Still, while all this is going on, Mano Meko getting a bit distracted. They're looking for kills. The payload gets snuck forward, and Shanghai will pick up the first point.
A very soon-like Tracer play from Undead, keeping his eye on the prize, knowing that he can just back it in there. Had his pulse pistols focused on where the team was, but still kept himself on the cart going backwards. MG gets his blade out. Zoning blade, if you will.
That was definitely a zoning blade. He was trying to hack at Arc there, and it just wasn't connecting.
You know, you don't have to necessarily. It's about sending a message, right? I could slash you with this, but I'm not gonna. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that is exactly it. This is entirely a decision of my own. Well, guess what? You're gonna have an EMP here as well. Free Feel is very vulnerable right now in the corner. Oh wow, Libero. Just what?
All right.
All right then. Maybe Pat Fingers maybe just misclicked there and wound up on the other side of the map when he actually just uses an entire ult just to kill one guy.
Usually you can solo ult to Zan and just kill him because he gets down to 50 HP, he peels off most of his health bar, but in that case he just got out of there. Free Feel ended up using Transcend after that though, so I guess that's a decent trade. Shanghai gets an opening kill though on Meko.
Yeah, I'm liking the support though coming in there from New York, at least Meko, you know, managing to get back there to keep JJoNak alive. The only problem is both tanks are dead now for New York Excel. We need those big beefy targets to get in here and fight with Shanghai Dragons. Saviobi dancing around on the edge, gets caught in the corner, has to recall out of it, so he's not gonna be too pleased about that. And Shanghai are making excellent progress. It will get contested again here right before the second point. This is where New York Excel are really going to want to throw down. Mano has got Primal to help buy time.
Saviobi just looking for a bomb here. He's just gonna pick his target. Ends up saying happy birthday to the ground over there. MG is gonna take out JJoNak on the other side of things. So still, Shanghai continues to push. A DMEC on Azushu might slow them down just a little bit. Where's Undead during all this? There he is up top. This is a great angle for your Widow here. Gonna be able to pop off a couple of shots. Most of the NYXL defense is now back in spawn.
And this is gonna come down to the final stretch. 3 minutes left on the clock. An excellent time so far here for Shanghai Dragons, and they're about to get this second point. Nobody here to contest, and so rolling forward to victory. 4 minutes and a half left here for Shanghai Dragons to pick up 3 points on Route 66. New York Excel, are they gonna make any drastic changes to the strategy here?
And they might get off of the Sombra. It hasn't really worked out well for them so far. Libero's gonna have EMP, so we might just use EMP, maybe try to get Free Feel, maybe actually shoot at him this time after he EMPs them. It's generally helpful in killing someone. And yeah, there's the EMP. Let's see if they have the follow-up.
We're looking for it. Zushu did not get silenced, so he will still have his abilities. NG gets the DMEC on Meko. Things kind of backfiring here for the New York Excel. They're getting hunted down. The Dragons, they've got fangs after all. They're finding the kills. JJoNak pinned in the corner, not gonna be able to get out. And it's Arc just dashing around the corner at the last possible second.
I really like how MG's playing today, and I think maybe he was just trapped in D.Va prison for a while. I mean, there was a lot of people who play D.Va that don't necessarily want to, and you can tell the best D.Va players are people that actually like playing D.Va. And now MG's been able to play Roadhog. He played a little bit of Genji earlier. His Tracer's been serviceable. So MG, even if it is an audition day, putting down some very good game tape.
JJoNak is going to have to throw in there, but there's still another kill, or at least a DMEC coming through. Zushu on Meko. Sound Barrier will get committed, however, by Arc, and so that could buy some space here for New York Excel, hoping to stagger things out. Libero with the kill on Roshan is a solid one. Free Feel Zushu. Everybody getting cleaned up here for the Shanghai Dragons. MG trying to do his best right now to win the duel versus Saviobi. Comes very close. Saviobi down to half, and Saviobi will get him in the end.
MG started believing in his own power right there. He's like, oh, I'm playing really well. I'm going to 1v1 Saviobi. Not going to happen.
Hold on. Hold on, Pierre.
Yeah, it's you are playing very well. Not to the 1v1 Saviobi level. That simply does not work out. Shanghai going to make some changes now, too. I was expecting this to happen after that last push. Roshan going to go over to a Reinhardt. A very good Reinhardt point here. Shield can cover most of the angles that you need. Yes. MG makes the switch over to Zarya. Well, going to switch back.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, a lot of changes. They will put a Zarya in, which I think is smart. Zarya and Reinhardt are very good on this last point, and you want to make changes because we're at the 2-minute warning. This ensures that you should have a grab up.
That is flawless from Saviobi. Couldn't have hoped for a better angle. 2 big kills there to stagger this out here for Shanghai Dragons. Shanghai, unfortunately for them, they're going to have to back off all the way to spawn and wait for those respawns to come through. That, you just see it coming from a mile away. Saviobi putting a little bit of pressure on Roshan, getting him uncomfortable, not sure where the shield is going to go, falls back to the rest of his mates, and then the pulse.
All right, and now switches up. I think the call just came through that everyone should play their best hero, or at least give someone a chance to, because Freefeel is now onto the Ana, one of his best heroes. Undead has moved over to the McCree as well. They're going to be able to get ultimates up for one final push, but this does mean that they have no high ground. They have no tanks to get up there, and now Libero just doing whatever he wants.
Oh yeah, just dashing through. Field day for him, and now Freefeel dancing. Freefeel dodging the dash. We will have it. Nope, he's going to do it with shurikens. Was thinking he'd just go for the melee and the style points, but instead it's Libero just shutting him down with the help of his mates. Sivyobi and Jonak getting in on the action as well. And with a minute left on the clock now for Shanghai Dragons, it's time to come up with the magic.
Roshan's got such little charge, it's actually surprising. He's been on the Reinhardt for over a minute, but he's been mostly a shield bot so far. Meanwhile, Zushu has done a lot of damage on his Zarya, so he's at 80% to a grab. They need to get this grab to win the next fight, very likely. The Blade is going to be up for the other side of things, and Transcend, so the grab is very likely to get negated.
Well, there we go. Sound barrier used. That's going to help things, because now there's not going to be a whole lot here to keep them alive when Libero decides to get the Blade out. Sivyobi goes for a ride. Definitely not the one he signed up for. Meko trying to keep his teammate alive, and Libero will be able to dash back to safety. He will get topped up. Mano, in the meantime, is taking down MG. Fairly even fight coming up here for New York Excel, except there are a whole lot of ults in play for New York, and they can definitely go to it. Libero there with the kill on Undead, and Freefeel, not long for this world, gets run over by Mano.
Zushu dying to the self-destruct there is absolutely brutal. Can they get back in time to get this Graviton into a decent position? 15 seconds. He needed to stay alive there. The self-destruct killing Azaria, not something you generally see with good shield management there. Unable to happen. Now they have to just run in here and hope for the best. Ultimates are coming online for them. Zushu very low, at least tosses it out, and I think it gets eaten up.
Not there. Then the pulse comes through. Sivyobi just looking to end this. Roshan's got nowhere to hide. Collapse on from all angles. NG trying to do the best that he can. A little bit of a delayed ult coming through. That was the barrier? No, it wasn't. Definitely thought I heard the barrier. Whatever. Overtime is burning down, and New York have got this. The defense holds, and Shanghai Dragons not going to get a third point here on Route 66.
And just death at inopportune times happens to be the Shanghai downfall right there. Azaria dying to a self-destruct is not grand. There's a lot of heroes that should not die to self-destruct generally. Lucio's at the top of the list, and if you're managing your cooldowns properly, you're almost never going to die to this, but I think this is where Zushu just has to run in, ends up chucking the grab to the defense matrix that didn't see right around the corner. Meko able to gobble that one up. He knows that it was coming. He did his best. He tried to shoot it at the ground, which was usually helpful in trying to get those gravitons out. Grounds and walls are your friends rather than just lobbing it in there. But very good play by Meko to be able to eat that up. And that comes because he did die beforehand. I mean, he had to get in there alone. Like when Azaria is running alone at the cart, no shields up or anything. Doesn't take a genius to figure out what they're trying to get done.
What's going to happen next? And well, that dire times, you're definitely pretty sad. If you're alone at the car, you're just like, guys, team, help. Well, Shanghai have been wondering that for a little while there. Still, they nearly got it done. They nearly got that point all the way home. Instead, it is going to be them on the defense. New York Excel switching over to the offense, and it will be, it's looking like fairly solid dive coming through here from New York Excel, unless we have any big changes, but it's not looking like it. This is very stable kind of lineup to go for here to kick things off.
That is just that pure dive. I want to see what Freefeel can get done on the Sombra. He's played pretty decent today. MG's been playing. I mean, there are some bright spots here from Shanghai, but I think what you're seeing is Shanghai just, you're really seeing them try to figure this out. They've accepted that what they have been trying does not work. Yes. And they're just trying new things. I think I'm cutting them a lot of slack because I know that that's exactly what they're doing. Everyone's auditioning for their jobs, waiting for new players to come in. Shanghai is really just trying to find anything that they can build on here. I think they found some small things here and there that they can build on. I think Zushu's had a pretty good game. I think that he's probably their better D.Va player. It allows MG to move around. Freefeel can move around. So changing one thing ends up changing several in Overwatch.
You're going to have all of those different... oh, we might have, yes. The heals coming through here from Arc. Definitely getting a little dicey there for his mates, and Shonak is dancing on the edge. He's been so low HP forever, but his tanks come back to peel for him, and yet again, he will survive. Whoa. Unbelievable. He survives again. Definitely thought Freefeel would get him that time.
Freefeel died with ultimate up, but Libero did the same on his offense as well. Died early on that Sombra. And now Libero just kind of guarding the gate up top here, making sure that no one's able to sneak in. They're going to guard left side as well. Still, last second touch from Roshan goes in.
I like it. Bubble goes down as well. The hack on Libero, old-fashioned way as well. Because Freefield still got the EMP. Flawless stuff going right on into the mix, although Sabiobi looks like he dodged it. He's going to be able to blink around to victory as he's got that pulse. Doesn't even need it. Gets the job done with the pistol instead. And Zushu will get caught by Libero. Payload makes it to the first point, and well, excellent time. 5 minutes on the clock here for New York Excel.
Take a moment, a teaching moment, if you will. If you're struggling on Tracer against things like a 76 or against people without burst damage, that last second melee is really all you have to hit. You see it from every high level pro. Melee and animation canceling is so important. You can queue up your melee blink and it'll finish when you get there.
Yep.
And you need that last second burst damage. So just a small little ladder tip if you're struggling on Tracer. Don't wait for the reload. Hit him in the face with your gun.
Yeah, dude, just go
It's so
prime
much cooler anyway.
Exactly, it's that feel-good moment. And again, we will have both DPS working together here in concert. New York Excel just collapsing on that back line. Shanghai Dragons getting sent back to spawn. You've got both of the tanks, but they're almost an afterthought because they're just going to die immediately with no backup there from their teammates. MG getting hunted here by Sabiobi. Definitely not a pleasant time. And Sabiobi, he's thinking about it. Yes, he goes in for the work. Ruthless.
He thought he was fine once he walked through that defensive matrix. He's like, I lost him. Oh, he's still behind. Oh my God! Oh my God! Sabiobi, the thing of nightmares, relentless in his pursuit.
And well, we got the tanks coming through again here. It will be another engage. We have plenty of ultimates this time around for Shanghai Dragons to work with. It's on Sabiobi. They'll go in for the big plays. He gets the stick on Undead. The triple blink into a nightmare situation, and Libero at the same time right now, just hacking him to bits. So Sabiobi once again finds MG. MG definitely feeling the pain right now. And well, it is going to be Roshan trying to do the best that he can here to delay on that point, using the Primal, getting up that 1,000 HP, but it's just not going to be enough. And New York Excel with plenty of time here to push forward to victory.
Shanghai's just all dying alone right now, and that's what people say, that we all die alone anyway, but this has been brutal. They're not getting back together. They're getting staggered out.
It's been a very existential day.
It has. Yeah, it really has. It's been full of ennui.
Well, you know, Shanghai Dragons right now are just lost to the sea, looking for dry land to hang on to, but turns out that's how it is. Jonak, he's got the orbs, just flinging them at people. No, that's a teammate, Jonak. Don't shoot them.
Try to find around the corner. Jonak surprisingly doesn't kill someone with a blind volley around the corner. It's kind of been his MO for quite a while. Libero still got Blade. Shanghai continues to fall all over the map.
Yep, Trance has been used now. Libero can have free reign here if he wants to, but it's not looking like he even needs to go for the Blade. Just going to be Sabiobi going to work the old-fashioned way, maybe able to find the kill on 5K, even goes for the stick. Just fully committing, wanting to wipe Shanghai Dragons off the face of the planet. Undead has decided to change up, and he's going for a Genji.
Yeah, Undead, not necessarily known for his Genji. They got to get someone back here. Might be on the Genji just to get the dash, trying to get back onto the card. They will be able to touch, and a barrier down. First coordinated attempt at a defense we've seen from Shanghai in the last 2 minutes.
Freefield under pressure, though. Where's the support? Nobody is there to peel for him because the tanks are out there trying to take the fight to New York. In the meantime, New York, eyes on the prize. Push the payload home to victory. 3 points for them in the end. A 4-0 victory in this series. New York, this was the game plan. They stuck to it. They got everything they were looking for out of this one.
Not the most surprising of results. Shanghai still trying to piece it together. They will have reinforcements coming. They're just seeing what everyone has on this team, mixing it up as much as possible, yet the result remains the same. New York will take this one rather easily, 4-0.
Just another day in the office.
They look as good as they always have.
They are definitely the dominant force in this league right now. And so, Dragons, plenty of opportunities for them to experiment. It is different from scrims to live matches. Now they're going to see who was able to actually stand up under the pressure a little bit. And so, perhaps something going forward here for the Dragons. New York extend their lead in stage 2 by another 4 maps. And yeah, you can tell Mono dancing for joy. So guys, we're gonna take a break and we'll come back and hear what the desk have to say about this match.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. and by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
The New York XL are making headlines. One day after taking down the Dynasty, they're back sweeping Shanghai, and they look like a sure thing to make it into our Stage 2 playoffs. We finished our first matchup, and it was all New York XL. Welcome back, everybody. It's Puckett. I got the desk with me. We got an awesome crowd. We got sweet signs, and we got a lot of highlights to bring you. Second half for Shanghai, much better. You were basically held scoreless in your first half. You start to score a few points on the attack. Let's start with Hollywood. What were we seeing, Johnny?
Well, we're seeing a lot more tanks. We saw Roshan back in the lineup, of course, and that means a lot more tanks, a lot more Reinhardt. I very much appreciated the Reinhardt coming out, of course. And I think this game plays into them a bit more. They're a bit more comfortable, it's a bit slower, and you're dealing with a big health pool, so you can't be punished as hard. So they feel a lot more comfortable with the tanks coming out here on Hollywood.
This is my favorite part of actually the tank compositions and why I think Shanghai should play them whenever they possibly can is because time and time again, we always point out the main issues for Shanghai Dragons has been their sort of coordination and general team play, right? But when you're playing these tank comps, you have no choice but to just stay in this massive ball of Lucio speedball mess, right? Just charging at the opponents. And it forces Shanghai Dragons to be a bit more coordinated and to play together a lot more. And then when that happens, they obviously make a lot less mistakes, just simply because of the composition they're playing. So I like the fact that Shanghai Dragons are playing it wherever they possibly can, because it does spell usually a better results for them compared to their previous games.
And a new look on this, if you remember back to previous matches, you have seen Shanghai run that triple tank. It was Dia on the Zarya. Today we saw the D.Va, we saw the Roadhog in play alongside the Reinhardt. Let's talk a little bit about New York, though, because New York wasn't the only team switching up players coming into Game 3. We saw Janus in the mix. Can you break it down for us, Johnny? You're the tank expert here. When you're looking at New York's tanks, when do you play mono? When do you decide to go in with Jonas as your main?
Well, Jonas has pretty much only played the hybrid maps, and I think it is because Kingstro and Hollywood, they favor the Reinhardt a bit more. And I just wanted to capture this clip because we missed it in game, and it's just a big earth shatter.
Yeah.
It's just, I love to see it.
And you saw the combo earlier. He was working so well, playing it out for the Diva bombs. That wasn't his only shatter.
It wasn't his only shatter. And I think it comes down to Janus being the better Reinhardt in these kind of games. So, I mean, he hits the earth shatters repeatedly, so.
So it's all about the Reinhardt for Hollywood. Is that
well, Kingstro and
as well?
Hollywood. It's the hybrid maps in the map pool. So, yeah, looking pretty likely that it is coming down to the Reinhardt. Because Mono is such a good Winston, so I wouldn't swap him out.
You got some depth there. All right, it makes sense. I was wondering what was going on there. Let's talk about Game 4, though, because once again, Shanghai is switching things up. And I want to start here with just the general highlights, because Shanghai, they got off to a pretty decent start. Fast time on point 1, and they didn't stop there. They almost made it all the way to the finish line, going 3 points.
Yeah.
Yes.
They ran all the way through, though, right? Because like this is Shanghai in a nutshell. It seems like they just sort of power up as the game goes on, and it's a team that they always have the potential there. But in this case, I actually feel like I mentioned in the halftime that Shanghai Dragons were not. The New York were not playing sort of down to Shanghai Dragons. They were going at full momentum, full speed.
He pinned the Tracer!
You were a big fan of this.
Yeah.
As it was happening.
I saw that and I stood up and I was like, oh, he pinned the Tracer!
But yeah, like New York, they haven't been playing down to their opponents, with the exception of, I guess, this particular map here, because we're seeing a different side of New York. It's very sort of experimental. They're not really taking it as seriously. We've seen Sabayobi's just slipping up, throwing post bombs all over the place. So it seems like the ultimate work was a little bit more sloppier compared to what we're used to them seeing.
I felt like, yeah, the cues were a little bit off, but you had already won the match. Good thing for New York. You locked up all 4 maps. Remember, map count eventually does matter. The last thing I want to say about this series, though, was the difference in DPS. We saw MG going off of that Diva role today. They give him a chance to experiment. You saw him on Roadhog. You heard Hex talk about his Genji. Well, map 4, we saw a bit of his Tracer, and it was looking great until he was brought back to earth. Let's take a look at this one-on-one here. This one, brutal, as Sabayobi just gives him the business. Don't come challenge the king like that, MG. You're going to get shut down.
Why would you do that? Like, challenging him like, MG, I mean, he's got some balls on him, and I give the man some respect for that one. Like, taking a 1v1 against Sabayobi, not many people are going to be doing that. It's a risky maneuver, but, you know, it almost paid off.
Do you like to see Shanghai mixing it up, though, Johnny?
Well, it seems like they found something that maybe can stick. Maybe MG is the solution to the problems. Maybe if we saw him on the other maps, we could have seen a different Shanghai.
All right, we'll see how Shanghai continues to evolve. Remember, they still are bringing in more players for future stages. That's going to do it for our first match of the day. Before we go, we got to crown somebody. It's our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. SBB. I don't think so. It's all Mecco today, boys.
Debated straight up. Yeah, Mecco. I mean, he's again a consistent Diva player. That tickled you, didn't it, Johnny? You loved that one.
All the memes.
Mecco, he made so many big self-destruct plays throughout this entire match. Not to mention as well, you know, we can't forget about his Graviton Surge. He ate that bad boy up towards the end, you know. Zuchu made that last-minute switch. It was one last moment, and Mecco just completely ruined the hopes and dreams of Shanghai.
I mean, he could arguably be the best Diva in the league thus far. He's the man behind New York Excelsior. He's the one defense matrixing Mono and Libero, of course, on the Genji. Fancy numbers here, but he is the one.
Fancy numbers.
Yes, of course, 97-8.
Go on, carry on.
When I play Diva, I don't have 97 limbs and 8 deaths. That's not how it works for me.
It's more like this final blows and deaths have probably swapped around a little bit, aren't
perhaps a bit, yes.
No, that's how it works.
Why?
Know your Overwatch, kids. All right, so Mecco is our player of the match today, and you did mention he may be the best Diva in the league. For people that are watching him for the first time, knowing they're likely going to be playing in the playoffs at the end of next week, what do you got to look out for from this guy? What's his strongest part of his game?
Just the way he manages the defense matrix. You only have 2 seconds to work with, so you got to make it count. You have 2 seconds to catch a Graviton Surge, and he does it.
There's honestly a handful of Diva players that are capable of that. In my opinion, in the league right now, you've got Fury, who I put, I think, in #1 in terms of the management of that defense matrix. Then it's probably Zumba, I'd say, and then it goes into Mecco territory. But it's actually like constantly switching up between these guys. These 3 players, if you want to improve your Diva, you pay attention to these gents when they're in the game.
Pay attention to the gents. Great advice from Brent. That's going to do it for our first match of the day, but we still have more to go. When we come back, guys, it's a great one. Florida taking on the Valiant. Will the Mayhem be able to keep it rolling? They got to win over Dallas. We'll see if they can get another one over LA today. We'll be right back.